So we know that a lot of investors have been quite nervous regards to NIO in the last few years. I mean, the stock was going really good in late or early 2021, and ever since we've been a continuous downtrend, and it's been not a very nice look for the stock investors in NIO. But we can see that the downtrend seems to be slowed down, and in the past few weeks the stock is kind of starting to form a quite interesting formation. But again, I'm not so much into the technicals, to be honest, because I think the most important thing is actually these numbers here. We can see that the last 2 weeks deliveries were quite good. So going from like the April and May deliveries as a total from like 6,000 thereabouts, and in June going up to 11,000 almost. And we can see at the last 2 weeks we're at 3,000 and 4,000 weekly deliveries, which means that in the last 2 weeks they have actually delivered more than they did in the entire month of April or May. And if you continue this pace and increase it slightly a bit, let's assume that July will be at 18,000. I mean, if you take 4,100 times 4.5, that's what roughly you would get. And then you assume that the increase of the pace will continue somewhat by, let's say, a few percent every month. And at the end of the year, we're just below 30,000 cars a week. Now, this would result in a Q3 of just above 60,000 and a Q4 at just above 80,000. And the full year would be roughly 200,000, just below 200,000 cars. I know that some of the investors would not be happy with this number in a sense, because the management, they have been marketing the numbers of 250,000 cars. So this is still not at the forecasted number that the management gave and continues to give just recently as 3-4 weeks ago. But still, in my opinion, I would be happy if someone told me that NIO will deliver these numbers at the end of 2023. I would be quite happy, thinking about where we were in April and May. And again, 200,000 is not a bad number. I mean, think about it. That just, I would say, 10 times difference between NIO and Tesla by end of this year if these numbers hold up. And if you consider the market cap of NIO, that is what, 16 billion US dollar, and Tesla is hundreds of billion, I think this is a very good opportunity for investors. So yeah, going back again to the trading view, we can see that the stock is kind of starting to form an interesting formation on the technicals. But again, I told you that the most important thing is the weekly delivery numbers. The balance sheet is good. I mean, we have 5.1 billion US dollar on cash on hand as of latest earnings report in March. And we can see that the valuation is quite low. I mean, if you consider the price to sales ratio, it's not that extended in my opinion. And also for a company that is in a huge growth pace over the past 3-4 years, and probably will be over the past in the coming 3-4 years as well, you cannot look at the price to earnings ratio at this stage. If you remember Tesla, a lot of the bears would focus only on the, let's say, price to earnings ratio. And if we have a look at this tool here on the micro trends, you can see that first of all, the reason that this is zero at this stage is because they didn't make any money at this phase. Once they started to make money, you can see that it just rockets up to over 1,000 price to earnings ratio. And to be honest, it sounds crazy, right? But you have to consider, as soon as the company starts to make money, they are not necessarily focusing on earning the most money. At this stage, they are still spending a lot of money on the growth of the company. The only thing you see here is just they went from losing money to making some small amounts of money. And then you can see that this number just cuts in half again and again and again. And now we're around like 30 to 60 in the latest few quarters. So this is like quite usual for a growth company. So you shouldn't be scared if you, let's say in a couple of years, NIO starts to deliver start to make some money. You shouldn't be scared if the price to earnings ratio is extended at all. I mean, I was fighting with a lot of bears and naysayers with Tesla at this stage. They would like ridicule us. Oh, how can you possibly spend your money, your hard-earned money on a stock that has like over 1,000 in price to earnings ratio? But they don't understand it. The big picture is to actually make money in the future. What's the point of making sure that you make a lot of money now and don't invest in extending your capacity for making new cars in the future? And if you don't do that, then someone else like BMW or Daimler or Mercedes-Benz, someone else will actually make that market. So it's very important to do not focus on making a lot of money in the beginning and extending your factory's capacity, which Tesla did with the multiple gigafactories all over the planet. And this is the same basically future that NIO has to do in a sense. So we spoke about the balance sheet and the importance of price to sales and price to earnings ratio. Now, in my opinion, NIO will live and die with their battery swapping. I know it's a very difficult conversation to have even with the bulls. So if we start with the negatives of the battery swapping, and we will do the positives as well, but with the negatives, in my opinion, is that as the electric batteries keep developing, the range of the cars will increase, and also the nominal battery size will not necessarily increase because the battery density, the energy density of each battery pack will increase. This means that not only will you get longer range, you will also get longer range with a battery that weighs less and also probably has less battery in nominal terms of kilowatt hours. So this will basically make it much faster to charge the battery. So, and you can see that if you would have bought a Tesla, let's say 5 years ago, and compare it to today, the charging is much faster now. You go to the supercharger, in 20-25 minutes, you have enough capacity to do basically whatever you want, even if you're going for a long trip. And if you add to that in the future, a lot of these car manufacturers are spending billions and tens of billions in battery development. And you can see that so many of the cars are already speaking of cars that will do 900 kilometers, 1000 kilometers on a single charge. So in my opinion, that need of battery swapping will decrease. It will not be more and more in the future. It will definitely decrease. So the utility of the battery swapping will not be better in the future, in my opinion. And also, the problem with the battery swapping is that it will add actually unnecessary cost to each car. A lot of people don't even use the swapping. So it's just like unnecessary cost both on the company's side to extend and expand the battery swapping network, which is much more expensive than, let's say, a normal charging station network. And also, there's another negative fact, and it's actually that it also added unnecessary complexity in the engineering side, in R&D side, and also it will most probably add a negative effect to the range, because you will add additional hardware in order to enable this battery swapping. So this is why you can see that the ET5 has a bit less range than the Model 3, even with a bigger, larger battery. So we spoke about the negatives. Let's go to the positives about the battery swapping, and there are quite a lot in my opinion. And one of the best one in my opinion is actually if you have a defect battery, and if you, let's say, you want to change the battery, with NIO it's so easy. You can technically go to a swapping station, change the battery, and then obviously there will be a cost for the service and the invalid battery that you have, but all the other manufacturers don't have the luxury of just going to the closest battery swap station, change the battery, and yeah, there you have your new battery. So I tried to find data on how much it actually costs to change, and the best numbers that I've been able to find is it's probably, if you have a Tesla, depending on which one you have, but the cheapest probably is anywhere between $13,000 to, let's say, 17 and 18,000 US dollar to change a defect battery. Not the battery module, but the whole battery pack. The module would be a bit cheaper, 5 to 9,000 US dollars. But if you have a completely dysfunctional battery completely, then you have to pay, somewhere close to 20,000 US dollar, which is a big difference to NIO. So there's that added value in my opinion. Also, another added value is actually something that very few speak about. It's just the easy, as we spoke before, the battery keeps developing. So 5 years in the future, the access to better batteries will be better. So the NIO cars, technically, they can just go to, again, the closest battery swapping station, and you can change your battery, and you have access to a more dense battery with new technology, with longer range and so on, better safety. And this in turn will also increase the second-hand value, in my opinion. So this is something also that not a lot of people speaks about, and in my opinion, this is where NIO should be more offensive and speaking about this added value. I mean, it's quite clear that a NIO car is costing more, but it also, there is no risk of any terminal damage to the battery, because even if there are those risks, you can actually swap the battery. You cannot on the other cars. There's a much more added cost to that. So the added value in the second hand is there. And we could also say that if they manage to monetize the swapping station in terms of energy storage, because we have to remember, a lot of these stations, these swapping stations, has I think 2 megawatt hours of battery or somewhere thereabouts, sometimes even more, which is the same size as the Tesla big batteries that will stabilize the grids that they can sell to different cities or companies, and those cost millions and millions of dollars. And there's also like not only a cost that you pay at the first go, you can also have a continuous running cost. So NIO will definitely have the possibility to monetize this thing if they are smart about it. And the last positive added value, in my opinion, is the unique market position. No one else has this battery swapping thing. Where do I see NIO from now? And considering everything we talk about the balance sheets, what quite good. We talk about the deliveries that start to pick up some steam. And again, there is some red flags, as we've seen that in April and May. I mean, are we gonna see these weekly deliveries to pick up and continue to pick up and be on a stable, good growth level? Or are we continue to see this just up and down thingy that the investors definitely won't like? I mean, if the coming month will be good, and then next month, let's say in late August, we have a couple of weeks with like 1200 or 1800 deliveries, yeah, that's not gonna be good. I mean, no matter how much you look at the technical analysis on the guys on Twitter, and they will say, yeah, this formation is very bullish, but no matter how bullish of a formation, if the weekly deliveries nosedive to like, let's say 1500 weekly deliveries, the stock will tank, trust me. So again, the fundamentals in the long run will definitely outweigh the technical analysis any day. What is very important for an investor in NIO, in my opinion, please make sure that you follow the weekly deliveries. I will post them to the web page that keeps posting them every Tuesday. So tomorrow will be the next one. Very interesting. We have to consider the effect of the margin in the next quarter. So in the Q2, one of the first things I will look beyond the delivery numbers will be the margins. And if the CEO speaks about how much the battery costs have gone up or down, probably down, and how that affects the entire gross margin of the car. And the very also interesting part here is the outlook that they will give in the end of that quarter. I mean, what will they say about Q3 and Q4? Are they confident in their guidance of Q3 and Q4? Then potentially we will have a really good 2023. I mean, the stage is set. Technicals are looking good. Delivery is starting to picking up. But if they just execute and have a full, complete Q2 and Q3 that is really good, I think this stock has potential to do like really well, especially considering the very small market cap in consideration compared to Tesla and also some like Li Auto and the Xpeng. And the only last negative in my opinion is, considering everything, it's just the management. They were very offensive last year when they were speaking about 85 and 87, and they were promising 10,000 deliveries each month, and we haven't seen that. And they keep promising stuff and we haven't seen anywhere near those numbers. So something's not right with 85 and 87, be it the price, especially considering Model 3 competition, and also Model Y, which sometimes is even cheaper than the 85 in China. So yeah, they need to get their stuff together in terms of 85 and 87. And also another negative in my opinion is that the management seems to want to do a whole lot. They try to not to focus on a fewer products, but make sure the quality is perfect. They have so many different car programs, like 6, 7, 8, 9 different cars coming online soon. So there's a risk of cannibalization. Like, I mean, if you have so many different models, maybe the demand is not there to satisfy so many different models. 4 or 5, okay, but 9, 8, maybe it's just too early. So yeah, I will definitely continue to focus on NIO even more. So Thanks again for watching the video, and make sure to like the video or comment if there's anything I can do better, and see you in the next one.